brought to you by Mercedes.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
I play Guido Contini, who is the central character in this musical, which is a nod to Federico Fellini's movie 8½, about a filmmaker who is in crisis artistically and personally, and the women in his life who sort of pull the strings of his mind and heart and body.
In the musical Nine, there's one man who's sort of the center of the whole story, Guido Contini, and all the women who play different roles in his life. And I play Liliane Lafleur, who is from Paris, unlike most of the cast who's from Italy, so I have a separate accent to worry about. And I am the producer of the movie that he's trying to make. So I spend most of the show trying to sort of force him to get back to work when he's distracted by all the other things and women in his life.
I play Guido's wife. And so she's sort of the catalyst. The show starts really with her saying, hey, this marriage is not really what I think is a good marriage. Maybe we should get divorced. And so that sort of like, I think, starts Guido's investigation of, whoa, where am I and what is my life and who are all these other women that are a part of it?
I play Seragina, who exists in Guido's memory. She is kind of the crazy lady on the beach that little Guido goes to get advice about love and other things that have to do with love. And Seragina basically says, pay me and I will teach you. And she does. And she really kind of embodies the Italian-ness of her and passes that on to Guido about the freedom and just the, be Italian. It's kind of cool to be in his memory because I don't want to give it too much away, but woven into the rest of the story, that's something that's kind of always there in his head.
My name is Michelle Ventimiglia. I play Carla, which is Guido's mistress, and she's a fiery ball of passion and love and playfulness, and she has a deep desire to have a future with Guido.
I'm Jen Sessi, and in the show I'm Stephanie Necrophorus. Yeah, so she is a film critic, and it's a really fun and interesting lens into the show, which is like she is the person, one of the people that are really holding Guido accountable for his art, for his life, and so she is this kind of voice of kind of dissension and subversion the whole time, which is really fun.
I am playing Asanisi-masa, which is renamed Our Lady of the Spa. And Asanisi-masa is a play on words Fellini uses in his film for the word anima, meaning like things that animate you or make you move or drive you or make you come alive, creative force. And for my role in the show is walking Guido through this sort of imbalance he has in these feminine forces in his life, his mother, his mistress, his wife, his muse. There are all these women who surround him and drive him, but in ways that are not functioning, and they're not playing nice with each other either. They're not working for him, and he's in this creative block. And so I am sort of this, instead of the narrator of the show as Our Lady kind of functioned, I function as sort of a guide for Guido to realign these feminine energies. Yeah, just imagine like all the women in a man's life holding him accountable. Terrifying and needed.
The music itself is so wonderful. It takes you on this incredible journey, and I was going to say the way that Andy is set up, which I think is different than maybe how it's sometimes done, is it starts with all of these women talking and all of this sort of noise in Guido's head. And then it leads into the overture, which is all sung, which is unique for an overture. It's all sung by all of us. And that really feels like it's like this churning, like my inner feelings that sort of land in me saying, I want a divorce. So I really feel like the music helps me get there so much. But, just aside from that, in preparing in the weeks leading up to this, I think I asked myself a lot of questions about what makes people stay in relationships that are not ideal. And, there are all sorts of reasons why people stay in things. So that was sort of interesting to sort of investigate why you stay and then also why you would go.
We've only been doing it for 6 days, but I have to say it's a lot of pressure because the other two, the two Broadway productions that I've seen, the first one Lilian Montevecchi played this role, and then in the revival, Chita Rivera played the role. So they're both amazing, charismatic dancer types, which, I've never been accused of being a dancer, so I was very nervous about that. And it's always kind of scary to take on a role that's been played by such amazing women. But the song is so fun, and it's in a place in the show where you really are kind of craving that sort of colorful, splashy kind of number. So I think people are going to love it. And I get to talk to the audience, which is at once scary and exciting. And, we'll see what happens at the Kennedy Center, but I'm going to walk into the audience and talk to people.
It's incredible. I've been wanting to do this show for so long, and as an Italian who's named after the pizza, it was pretty perfect. And I remember seeing Andy Blankenbuehler, who I really just fangirl over, and I remember seeing him going, "Hey, here you're doing the 9," and he just said, "Please have an Italian sing Be Italian." I was like, "I'm Italian." So it's been like a dream. It's just the perfect show, and to get to sing that song is just—it's everything. It's everything.
Men are a pain in the ass, so a room full of women is like the greatest. Everybody is easier, knows their stuff more, is prepared the minute we start. Energetically, it's a great group, and the only reason I'm surviving is because of they're carrying me on their shoulders for certain.
So the first time that I was exposed to the show was actually through the film with Daniel Day-Lewis and Penelope Cruz and Marion Cotillard, because I was obsessed with Penelope Cruz at the time, and I still am. She's a queen. So I saw that film, and then I fell in love with it, and then I listened to all the cast albums, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and I've always loved this story, and I've loved how it's always been a group of women telling the story. I think that's so powerful, and it's a dream to be here, honestly. Yeah.
I was not very familiar with this show prior to entering this project with Andy. I knew of the show, I knew a few of the songs, but I think it's been interesting to enter such a well-known show through a new lens, fresh, which I think a lot of people will be coming to the show that way. Some will come with their ideas that they've had, and then others you come new. I'm a fan of revivals in that way, that everyone kind of gets to experience it through a new lens. And I think that's going to be a really fun experience for everyone. It has been in the room, and I think it will be for the audience.
I never saw it on Broadway. When I was literally 9 or 10, I remember hearing the song for the first time, and I've been singing it since. Not knowing, when I was little, not knowing really what that was. But, the song itself, it means nothing. So, I mean, it's nothing dirty. But for me, growing up and knowing about this show, and I have been telling people I've wanted to do this show for years. So when this came up, it's just a dream. Yeah, I still can't believe it. I'm actually doing it. And singing that song, too. There are days where I'm like, oh my, I'm really getting to do it.
I did. I grew up listening to 9. I also, it was like, they did a production of it when I was in college, and that was my first time ever seeing it staged. And I remember being so taken with this amazing deconstructed retelling of this piece that flowed in and out, and I think that's such a beautiful kind of portrayal to see on stage. Yeah, and it's hard to really kind of imagine. I remember having listened to it, and then like I said, the one production I'd seen of it, it was wow, I never would have imagined how that went together from the page to the stage. And I think those kind of pieces are so exciting when you don't know what the vision of how it's all going to come together is, how it's going to be constructed. I think it's a cool piece for that.
I've never seen it. I feel like it doesn't get done a ton. And I see why now that I'm working on it, because I think it's not easy on the page. I felt reading it huh. And then I came in and I talked to Andy, and he has these incredible visions. But so I really just knew some of the songs. That was all I knew about it. So when Andy talked to me, he said, "Oh, I want you to play Louisa," I actually was like, "Which one's that?" But now I love it.
I had seen the show, but I had also done a production of the show about 35 years ago. When I was in my 20s, I played Carla, who's sort of the sex kitten in the story, and did a whole number in a lace unitard. And now that I'm in my 60s, I don't think anyone wants to see me in a lace unitard anymore. So now I'm playing the old Follies lady. But I've always loved the score. I've always loved that the opening of the show is a sung overture. You know, usually you hear all the instruments playing the different themes that you're going to hear in the show, but this time, instead of the instruments, you hear all the women's voices singing all the themes just on la-las, and I don't know, that's just such a creative idea to me, and I just have always loved the score of the show.
No, I didn't know it at all until they asked me to do it. So I did a deep dive because some people were saying, "Oh, this is a great idea. You know, this is a good part for you." And I'm ashamed to say I didn't know it. My theater nerd, I guess I have to give my card back because I didn't know the show. But I think it's a bit of a masterpiece. I think it's Maury Yeston's most incredible piece of writing. I think Arthur Kopit's book are scenes worthy of being right out of a play. It's really special. And when you layer on top of that Andy Blankenbuehler's mad genius sense of movement and picture making and storytelling, it could be really special.
I hope that they're able to see the redemption in all of the characters. Everyone in this story is on a journey towards acceptance of their circumstances and themselves, and that acceptance ultimately becomes the ultimate act of love for themselves and therefore everyone around them. So I think it's actually a story about acceptance and forgiveness and the inexhaustible capacity for love, and I think people are really going to resonate with that because I think today, in this day and age, we need to learn to forgive ourselves and accept ourselves and love ourselves. So that's what I hope.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.